Welcome to Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, the big, butch, manly movie podcast that's not the man you think I am at home. Oh, no, no, no. We love genre movies, but we know that these movies often include questionable elements that make them difficult to enjoy. With this podcast, we're looking at genre movies through the lens of our favorite things: awesome women, cute guys, great music, incredible fashion, and, of course, queerness. This week's movie is a sci-fi classic that is really not typical of that genre, or dare I say, any genre. We're watching Flash Gordon!
This 1980 movie from director Mike Hodges stars Sam J. Jones, Melody Anderson, Ornella Muti, Max von Sydow, Topol, and Timothy Dalton, favorite of our heart.
Oh yeah.
Based on the King
Topple.
Syndicate's feature... I mean, they're both Bond standbys, Topol and Timothy Dalton. And it's shocking that Ornella Muti was never in a Bond movie, honestly.
I can't believe it.
Outrageous. Based on the King Features comic strip by Alex Raymond, Flash Gordon found its way to the screen as part of the post-Star Wars sci-fi boom. George Lucas only made Star Wars because he couldn't get the rights to Flash Gordon. The camp and colourful film brought together the talents of Barbarella producer Dino De Laurentiis, Batman TV show writer Lorenzo Semple Jr., and Get Carter director Mike Hodges. And Mike Hodges feels like the odd one out in that little marriage. You can feel the Dino De Laurentiis and the Lorenzo Semple.
Honestly, knowing those two things makes this movie make so much more sense.
So much more sense.
Flash Gordon tells a story of quarterback Flash Gordon being flung across the universe with scientist Hans Zarkov and travel agent Dale Arden to become part of a revolution against the space tyrant Ming the Merciless.
You would not know she was a travel agent.
It doesn't really ever come up.
How would it?
Honestly.
But, you know, he gets to have a whole football game in this movie, so maybe she should have had some sort of...
I mean, what was she gonna do? Point out the beautiful destinations on whatever the fuck planet they're on?
Go. Yeah, I mean, maybe she does do that, now I think about it. Let's talk about our histories and our initial thoughts about this movie. I know we come at this movie from two different places. For me, this is a formative movie. It was filmed in the UK. It had a bunch of British actors in it. It was like advertised or promoted through the BBC children's magazine show Blue Peter, because one of the hosts of that show has a bit part in the movie, so that allowed them to sort of do a tie-in thing, like behind the scenes on the set of Flash Gordon.
Wow.
So yeah, this movie was like huge to me. It meant more to me than Star Wars, because turns out I saw more of what I wanted to believe of the universe in this movie than in Star Wars. Like, I don't mean the politics. The politics is equally bad in both.
Very true.
But this is just so sumptuous and over the top, and it felt queer and sexy in a way that the Star Wars movies still really don't.
Oh, it's queer and
The
sexy,
miniatures, the bombast, the incredible music. There are some downsides. Orientalism,
think of any.
fetishism.
Right, that.
There's one black guy in the whole movie and he dies pretty much immediately.
Quickly.
And there are not only no other black people, but almost no other people that die. It's not like people are dropping like flies in this movie.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow, it's true.
But yeah, one of the most incredibly designed movies. And there was, at the back of my church as a kid, there was a tree that had been cut down, leaving just a stump, and there was a hole in the stump. And we would play the game of sticking a hand in the stump and pretending whether or not we were found worthy by the scorpion creature in the tree.
Everything I know about you is like coming together, coalescing into the man I know today.
I just wanted Timothy Dalton and his moustache to be proud of me.
I get it. He's so daddy.
He's so daddy. But yeah, your history with this movie is quite different.
Quite different. I only saw this for the first time for our original podcast series only a few years ago. I fell in love with it. It is so campy. It's so over the top. It feels like a direct sequel to Barbarella, another film that I only watched for our podcast once upon a time, and in such a beautiful way. It is so out there. It's just so it feels like an original idea when all we're fed is the same crap over and over again. Does that make any sense? Like, it's just so much fun to watch, and it's so different, and it's so queer, like almost unapologetically so.
Yeah, I wonder if purists at the time, like fans of the Alex Raymond strip, because they exist, if they were like offended or upset at the tone of this. Because Barbarella is kind of, Barbarella's a comic made by a Frenchman. Of course, it's porny and
And horny,
ridiculous,
yeah.
and making a like pop extravaganza movie out of Barbarella is only going to please the people that love Barbarella. Whereas Flash Gordon, I wonder if people were a bit more peevish about it, as North American comic fans can sometimes be.
No, never. They love
I hate to break
everything.
it to you, Shane, but so yeah, I wonder how it was received. But like, yeah, now it stands out as just like it's so clearly its own accomplishment and so much more indelible in the culture than any other version of Flash Gordon.
There are other versions of Flash Gordon. I mean, for me, this is all I know. And if this is all I know, then that's fine. I kind of don't want to know what else is out there. I'm sure the comic is tame in comparison.
I mean, it's not like, this is actually very faithful in certain ways. Like the characters are all from the comics. It's not like the Masters of the Universe movie where they're like, well, we've got He-Man and we've got Skeletor, and then we'll just make everything else up and we'll put Courtney Cox in there. No, this like all Baron and Vulcan and Dale Arden and Hans Zarkov, like these are characters from the strip.
I'm
Ming the
surprised that
Merciless.
Dale Arden is a carryover character. She seems like the Courtney Cox, gotta say.
Fair, but no, she's real. And the princess, like yeah, they're all there. They're all in the book.
Wow.
I don't know about the generals actually, but probably.
Probably. Yeah, I loved this movie. I loved it the first time I saw it. I loved it again on this second one. I mean, Andrew and I hang out outside of all of this. So to say that
Festival.
this is only the second time I've seen this film would be a lie. This often plays in the background of other things at Andrew's home. And
It's a
every
great
time
background movie.
it is the perfect background movie because the plot you don't need to follow. It is just a visual feast. It is a set piece to set piece, very little of it having to do with the next part of it. You just let this movie wash over you and you feel its warmth and its glow and the technicolor colors, and it's beautiful. It's just beautiful.
Yeah. If I had a bar, this would be on heavy rotation, just in the background on the screens.
Oh yeah, absolutely. God, there's so much to talk about. The set design, the miniatures, the special effects, they're all sumptuous. It all feels so both real and cartoony, but it's so well done. The miniatures alone I could talk about forever. The miniature work is incredible, some of the best.
Yeah, as Bond fans, we are set hos. The gorgeous, especially like 60s, 70s, and in this case into 80s set design is something we absolutely are passionate about. And this movie fits very comfortably, I think, in that sort of tradition of incredible genre movie set design. And yeah, as you said, the miniatures, the matte paintings, they absolutely deliver the most like distractingly gorgeous work. It's so this movie is a bit like having an art book on your table and flicking through.
Definitely.
You could watch it just to look at it,
Oh
and
yeah.
you would enjoy
Just like I flipped through my Tom of Finland coffee table book. And
it.
honestly, a lot of crossover between the two. It is
Not a lot of
incredible.
women in the Tom of Finland book.
Okay, fair. Well, to me, it's incredible that this came out the same year as The Empire Strikes Back. They look nothing alike. There's definitely one of them had a lot of money to work with, and one of them is Flash Gordon. It also feels like a psychedelic episode of 60s Star Trek mixed with like the heightened like expanded universe of Star Wars. It's this really
Yeah.
like meet me in the middle kind of sci-fi. Like here you get your weird trippy shit, and then you also get like only human characters who look vaguely like Klingons. But 60s
See,
Klingons, not 90s Klingons.
oh no. Yeah, to set up a bit of a sort of sci-fi bona fides, maybe it's worth saying, like you are a Star Wars girl, but you're mostly a Star Trek girl.
I mean, I've got it
Whereas
imprinted
I'm more,
on my heart, baby. I am a Star Trek girly.
I'm like a Barbarella Planet of the Apes girly. Like, I'm the cool kid smoking clove cigarette. Not so mainstream. But yeah, I always just found like, not that these aren't mainstream, but they are like fringier compared to the giant, and especially like talking about the original Planet of the Apes, not the current sort of incarnation, which I'm not critical of. I think that they do great work, but like the classics are the ones that I grew up watching at like midnight on BBC Two. Yeah, that has always been the stuff that I prefer over the Star Wars and the Star Trek. But of course, I love Star Trek and I will abide Star Wars.
Okay. I mean, I was the kid who came to school with like a replica tricorder and could be seen scanning grass in the fields, trying to figure out if there are any life forms around.
Side and scan grass, kids.
Yeah, that was me. And so, but I mean, I'm just a sci-fi fan. Yes, those are my pillars, but I also love the original Planet of the Apes. That was one of the first like sci-fi films outside of the big ones that I saw. And so that was formative for me too in a lot of ways. I remember watching The Twilight Zone, like the 60s TV series on in the States when I went to visit my family, and just like having my mind blown that way. God, I watched like all of these terrible sci-fi films that I'm sure if I were to look back on today, I'd be like, wow, what was I doing with my life as a child? But you know, that all leaves this imprint where I am open to any sci-fi. Just show me a new idea, show me a different way of looking at the universe in the future, and I am all in. And that is what this movie did for me. And to get to experience that like sense of wonder again from a movie that was made in 1980 when I was well into my fees, what a cool experience.
It's kind of, honestly, it's a bit like when we saw Modesty Blaze.
Modesty Blaze.
It's a bit like when we saw Modesty Blaze, like not together, but like at the same time for our podcast. And it was like, wait, how? Because I didn't have that experience of discovering Flash Gordon or Barbarella. Mm-hmm. Later on, they've been part of my DNA. But yeah, when we saw Modesty Blaze, it had that same sort of, oh my goodness, there's
how
things
did I
out
miss
there.
this? Yeah.
So yeah, that are also somehow part of my DNA, even though I never saw them before now.
Oh yeah, I love
It's
those
a wonderful
discoveries.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God,
Should we get into our 5 pillars, or
we've got to talk about the 5 pillars because there's so much to talk about. There's just so much.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got to start with, I think, our most important pillar, the women.
Yeah. This is an incredible movie for the women. Number one, because of their makeup.
Yeah.
It has to be said. The makeup is amazing in this film. Like, even, Dale Arden starts out the movie with the only naturalistic makeup, and it's not naturalistic. She
it's
has
a vivid red.
Really like fire truck red lips that match her fire truck red shirt, blouse. And that's the most grounded makeup you will see in this movie on a man or a woman. And yeah, when she gets to the other side of the galaxy, she gets the glow up treatment. And, Val is in there with her brushes straight away.
Everyone's got cat eyes and heavy eyeshadow. Every man has mascara as thick as like a pencil around their eyes, and as do the women. And everyone is wearing like a different palette. There's no 2 colors are the same in this film.
Yeah, it's so great. It's such a, like, it's not trying to be anything other than what it is, this movie. It's like, characters are color coded. Mm-hmm. They like virtually have uniforms. Like the fact that Ming has like 5 different outfits, but they're all kind of the same. Like there's an incredible continuity to his outfits.
I didn't even notice that.
Sort of happens, right? Flash changes his outfits, but it's always athletic. Yeah,
it's always the same style of shirt.
Yeah, it's great. And so to get back to the women,
Right.
Yeah, Dale Arden gets to go from like his woman at work wear to high femme, like Queen of the Universe gish. And she is surrounded by all these other women similarly dressed in some of the most gorgeous, like showgirl harem outfits you've ever seen. And then you have the princess, and then you have the general. And it's like, this has some of the most unforgettable women in movies just from like the silhouette.
Oh yeah. I mean, God, Princess Aura, Ornella Muti, what a vision. Just wearing skin tight latex, but also like these amazing gowns with her hair done up in a cone, but also they let it drape at certain points. She just looks incredible from beginning to end. She is the revelation in this movie for me. How did I walk through this world not knowing that Princess Aura existed? How did I not know the line, "No, not the boar worms," for my entire life, you know?
Not the ballworm. And she's dubbed, surely. This is very, women of the 70s, and this is basically a 70s movie
Yeah,
released in the 80s. European women who were cast for their gorgeousness and then dubbed over was the standard, the staple. So I'm assuming she was dubbed, but maybe I'm wrong.
maybe. I mean,
Probably
well,
Nikki Van der Zyl, who was all the Bond women.
right, right. I was gonna say everyone is dubbed in this movie. There is a scene where
Well, right,
Flash,
yeah.
Dale, and Zarkov are walking down a hallway, and like no one's mouth is going in time with what they're saying.
The other woman that I just adore in this movie is, of course, Marangela Melato as the general.
Let's talk about
A
women in
female
STEM.
women in STEM, a female science sidekick in a crown. I mean, gorgeous, stunning, an absolute, like, the look is a serve. And also, one of the things I realized on this watch too, all of these three lead women in the story, none of them do what they're told to do. They're
Yeah.
all given orders, and they all say,
No, I'm gonna do my own thing. Yeah. That doesn't
"Yeah,
sound right for me.
I,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not loving this, so different direction."
They're all so subversive and they're all so horny. They all have BDE. Like everyone is a dom in this film. Every woman is a dom.
True, breaking those men over their backs.
Truly.
Yeah, like it would be nice if there were more women in the movie, but
If we're only gonna get
I guess
three.
it's the if we're only going to get three, this is a great three, and you get the sort of you get the good girl, the bad girl turned good, and the bad girl stays bad. It's the classic Roald Dahl triptych
Oh
of
God.
genre
Is
movie
that
women.
why I like this film so much? It's just a Bond film set in
We take
space that isn't Moonraker.
I mean, it's an iconic mode for the three female leads of a movie.
I mean, again, I hate to go back to this, but Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, there's one woman in all three of those films, unless you count Mon Mothma, who got her own spin-off 40 years later. Princess Leia is truly the only woman in the galaxy, and here we have a film where we get three like fully realized female characters who have levels. Wow, what an incredible achievement for 1980.
True. Yeah. Three women in one movie versus one woman across three movies.
Yeah.
Definitely Flash Gordon is winning that matchup. Also, Flash
Yeah.
Gordon has the better Darth Vader. Like General Clytus as the blinged out Darth Vader. I just think,
Yes. Okay,
you know.
fair. I mean, I'll let you have that. I may not agree with it, but I'll let you have that. At least he's not doing like, some orientalist makeup that we can see behind that mask.
Yeah, it's for the best that we don't know what he's wearing.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Well, he's a robot too, to be fair. I think.
Maybe. I don't see technology really, Shane. I'm sort of above that.
Wow.
I will
Okay,
say
so
Dale does go
go.
on a bit of a damsel in distress decline. Like she gets that sort of digmatization, deterioration across the
Mhm.
movie where she starts out like she's handy in a fight. She has an attitude.
Yeah.
She stands up for herself all the way through, including to Flash. And apart from pronouncing NASA as Nassau,
It's not the Bahamas, babe.
she's generally impeccable through much of the movie. One of my favorite lines is when she's presented before Ming and like has to say a thing. She's like, "Live and let live" is my motto. And it's like,
Lord,
God bless you.
you're
I love
trying
you for
to.
that. It's like this is my leaving the stage line. Like, oh, I forgot to think of one.
My favorite of hers is when Flash is sending a telepathic phone message to her and Princess Aura's feeling him up and he says, "Oh my God, this woman is turning me on." And Dale's like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh, not you." And she's like, "Okay, hang up. Someone's coming." And it's like, "Wait, you're not on the phone, darling."
What other frame of reference does she have? And that's actually kind of like, the fact that she does become a bit of a sap towards the end of the movie, I'll allow it because she is in a pretty radical set of circumstances
Yeah.
and she is not being given a lot of agency compared to Flash, who is, getting a lot of advantages.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is sad that she's so much less kick-ass by the end of the movie. Like, it's so great in like halfway through the movie when she's like breaking out of the harem and throwing guys over her shoulder. And it's like, yes, this is what we need.
She's like
And then at the
giving
end
the
of the movie, she's
poison
like,
chalice to
Flash!
other people. Like,
Yes.
she's really, like, it's like you said, she's doing everything she was told not to do. And she's
Yeah.
exceeding all the way through until the last act. And it's like, oh, why did we give up on this character now?
Yeah.
She should be the one who, like, she should have her Domino from Thunderball moment where she comes up with the harpoon and shoots the villain in the back.
Yes, definitely.
Let's talk about the boys because
Yes.
boy, are there boys. It's pretty much only boys, actually.
It's a very boy-heavy movie. We do love Topple, but he's not going to get a look in this section, I don't think. He's,
I mean, he does have, like, some daddy energy to him, I will say. Like, he's not unattractive. He's a beautiful Greek man.
And when it comes to actors who have, like, hit a really powerful, like, trinity of performances, to be in a sci-fi movie of this caliber, and in a Bond movie, and in one of the greatest musicals of all time in Fiddler on the Roof, like, that's a career. Like,
honestly,
that man gets a spot in my personal pantheon for those three.
Agreed.
But we're here mostly to talk about whether a boys are hot or not, and this is a movie named for its central himbo, and he is a perfect himbo. He is the archetype,
I see why you see that. Let me say this. He, like,
you're not feeling it?
From here down, great. I'm all in. It's somewhere around here where I'm like,
is it too handsome Squidward?
He's too handsome Squidward. He's like, I mean, he's playing a football character, but also he looks like a football player. Like, he's been bashed around a bit. He's got...
That guy has head injuries.
Yeah, for sure he does. He is beautiful, don't get me wrong. And, like, I love the tight baseball cut tee that he's wearing. I love the tight pants. I love that he wears his name on his shirt. That is a serve. That is queer canon, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I mean, he's not the prettiest boy in the movie, like, we all know that, but he is perfect for this role, and he, the way that the movie treats him as a piece of sexy meat, like, he gets to be objectified in this movie as much as any woman. He's, the scene where he's just wearing the little leather loincloth, basically, it's like, there's great, more of this kind of thing in films, please.
Agreed.
More than happy to see equal opportunity lechery in an exploitative sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, he fills out that loincloth beautifully, and the camera likes to get right in there next to his thigh and show you like a shot right up his crotch, and it's like, thank you so much. Thank you for your work.
Yes, that I will give you. That is truly beautiful cinematography. We are blessed to have this.
Gorgeous.
But for me, I'm sorry, no one is finer than a young Timothy Dalton sporting a tiny mustache. I mean, dressed like Robin Hood, no less, swashbuckling his way through this movie, winning my heart just in the same way that he wins over the Flash Gordon. And Timothy's just great in this. He's so good.
Yeah. It's that Shakespearean background, baby. He and Brian Blessed coming straight from the RSC to the Pinewood studio. He is gorgeous. And I don't know, as a kid, if I ever sort of, because again, this is like a pre or a right at the brink of puberty movie for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, at that age, Flash Gordon was my go-to. Now I totally understand that Timothy Dalton's Prince Baron is the most perfect man.
Yeah.
At some point, my allegiance slid from the blonde himbo to the raffish, mustachioed man with the most gorgeous eyes you've ever seen in your life.
How are they so blue? Or are they
So yeah,
green?
Prince Baron. Prince Baron absolutely sweeps the movie for me in terms of like who is the eye candy of this movie. It's Timothy Dalton in his finest role.
But also, luckily for you, Baron and Flash share so many scenes together that I can understand why you'd be like, which one do I shoot?
It's not a gun, people.
It's
It's
not a
not
gun
a
that you're
gun.
holding. No, I know.
And we should mention Prince Vulcan as well. Like
Yes.
Brian Blessed was not presented as a sexy man to me as a kid because he was just like this TV personality, big, loud storyteller of a man, great on interviews, great big flyaway eyebrows, booming voice, does have this classical acting background, became known more as a raconteur than anything. And yeah, was not presented as sexy. But now, knowing the culture, it's like,
Oh, he's a
oh, he
bear.
invented being a bear.
Yeah.
It's like this was like one of the first bears on a mainstream screen. It feels like,
He's what every bear like envisions himself as. He's got like,
Yeah.
this barrel chest, all of his hair everywhere. He gets to like fly around in wings and horns. Like he's so butch. But also not. It's fabulous.
And he's wearing a harness, and he's surrounded by other boys with their thighs out, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, he's in Sitges Bear Weekend.
Oh yeah, he goes to PV on the weekends.
But there's no PV happening there. So yeah, good boys, I think
Good
is the
boys.
takeaway here.
Also, I mean, before we move on from the boys, there's an initiation scene, which you've alluded to as having done yourself. But for a group of men to initiate each other by sticking their fist, not their hand, their fist, into a hole, that's the part of the movie where I came.
And yeah, the young man who sticks his hand in and then says, "Kill me now." That's Peter Duncan, who was a children's TV host when I was a kid. So
Oh my god.
that was a wild moment. But yeah, there's something very homoerotic about that whole sequence, and especially the fact that Flash and Princess are like off to the side, listening to these men like groan and grunt. It's great. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Also, you talked about the telephone call scene earlier. So I wrote down another great line from that same scene where Flash says to Dale about Ming, "Fake him out. Girls know how. It's been done to me." It's like, okay, is this feminism?
I think also during the initiation, Princess Aura says, "I love initiations." And I just wrote, same girl.
She does. She does.
Who doesn't? Let's talk about the music. I mean, iconic, iconic, iconic. The Flash theme song. How did they convince Queen to do the entire soundtrack? Like, this is before we had Daft Punk doing the Tron Legacy soundtrack. This is before we had What's-His-Face from Metallica become like one of the most incredible soundtrack producers of all time. This is an era where like popular musicians didn't just say, yeah, I'll score your film, your entire film.
Yeah, and they did not hold back. Like,
No.
this is full voltage Queen all the way through. Vocals, guitar riffs, like it's some of their best work in places.
Yeah.
Like, it's so high camp and off the chain, and like, I don't know, I want to say they didn't care, but that sort of undermines it. They cared a lot, but they did not like keep any of the safeties on here. Like, they just went in and delivered the most Queen Flash Gordon soundtrack that a Queen Flash Gordon soundtrack could be.
Ever be.
And it endures. Like that Flash Gordon theme, you'll hear it in other contexts. You will hear the music from this movie. Like, it has shaped movie soundtracks because,
You'll
as you
hear
said,
it
like
at the
they didn't used to
club.
do this.
Like-
They didn't used to do this,
No.
and this was really groundbreaking.
Yeah, it really is. Also, I mean, part of me is like, did Freddie Mercury and the band go in and just like riff for the entire 2-hour runtime? Like,
Maybe.
it took me a while to realize that there is a dun 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 go undertoning the entire film. The music almost never stops. So good.
And the only piece of music I think in the film that isn't Queen is Wagner's Wedding March,
Yeah.
which apparently is universal,
Right.
but just fits perfectly. It's like, oh yeah, Wagner, that's also camp rock.
But it's also arranged by Queen, right? Like it is Queen
Oh yeah,
playing
yeah,
Wagner.
yeah.
Just to be very clear, like
Should
it
be
is
played at
not just the
every
wedding
wedding.
march.
Yeah, no. So yeah, big tick for the music,
Huge.
safe to say. And then a fashion,
Oh my
Shane.
god. I don't even know where to begin. This everything is perfect. I mean, the film starts off with Dale and Flash wearing matching outfits, red and white. Her lips are the
Having showed up
color of his
separately and never
pants.
met before.
And they had never met, they'd never talked, and they just come in looking perfect. I really want a shirt that says Shane in the Flash font across my chest. I need that. I'm just putting it out there that my
No.
birthday is in a week.
And it's really easy to get bespoke t-shirts made in a week.
I know. There's a shirt shop just around the corner from us, Andrew. Anyway, everyone is wearing gold armor. Everyone's just wearing armor in general, but the gold pops everywhere. Primary colors, tertiary colors. It was almost too much.
It's sumptuous beyond belief. Danilo Donati is the name of the genius behind both the costume and production design on this film. Italian designer whose other works include Salo or the 120 Days of Sodom, Caligula, and Fellini's Satyricon. So he was making horny movies. The man made horny movies. He made the horny movies. And yeah, the aesthetic is such a deliberate contrast to like the Star Wars.
Stark metal, yeah.
Camel colors in a quarry, like, yeah, like there's none of that here. One of the first like alien looks we see when we transition to the alien world is this bald man with TV glasses on his face.
Love.
And it's like you it's so striking and incredible, and you forget about that guy for the rest of the movie. Like
they come back. They come back.
Like a bunch of them at the end.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's like, oh, that's the wildest thing I've ever seen. And then like 5 minutes later, you're like, I don't remember the bald guy with the glasses.
That's because you've been introduced to the lizard person whose eyes are located inside his mouth.
Amazing, amazing. But also everyone is serving at Ming's like big reception.
Oh yeah.
Not least Ming in red and gold. And yes, it's Orientalism and that's awful. Like the whole Max von Sydow wearing sort of yellow face makeup, a character that is clearly inspired by like Sax Roma Fu Manchu kitsch.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we didn't have to deal with that in this movie. But the actual clothes he's wearing, giant red collar, sharp ass shoulder pads, slightly papal, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
This incredible red and gold outfit. And then later, he has the same outfit in black. And it's like, yes.
Yeah. So good. So good.
Always get one in black.
Amazing. So many headpieces, like particularly in the harem scene, every woman has a gigantic and different headpiece, all of them dripping with jewels.
Dripping with jewels. Deep Roy appears in this movie, the legendary little person actor who has been in every sci-fi thing you've ever seen. And he would have been like 20-something at this point. This is one of his first movie credits. And he gets an incredible outfit to wear. There's this woman in this like vagina-shaped blue veil that is like, and she's just a background character. Like this movie has it all.
Star Wars wishes it had the level of costuming for background characters.
It wishes it had two women that it could dress differently.
That part.
I've talked about it already, but General Kala, black jumpsuit, giant gold accents, a crown, high heels, and just impeccable mug.
Oh yeah.
It's a dream. It's a fever dream. It's a fantasy. I'm obsessed.
I get it. And I mean, I mentioned it before, but Timothy Dalton in his like Robin Hood green leather, also so good. Like it's not just not just a classic silhouette. It like there's so much detail. There's like rivets everywhere and studs, and it has so many levels and layers to it. It's such a gorgeous piece of leather that I would wear to the club tomorrow if I could.
So warm though.
No, very warm.
And Princess Aura's best look, I think, is her pink asymmetrical dress with this shoulder padded cape. The fact that the shoulder pads are in the cape.
Amazing.
So she can take off the cape and then just be in like this svelte, like almost like a leotard.
Yeah. So
So
good.
many good looks in this movie.
Love it all. We could probably talk about the fashion for another hour, but let's talk about something that goes hand in hand with the fashion. The queerness. The queerness in this film is like, it is not explicit in a way where you're like, oh, that's a queer person, because
Right.
everything is just so campy that it is undeniably a part. I mean, obviously the queen of it all infuses like, the queerness is there, but the influences that you can find in this movie, like, there is definitely some physique pictorial work that
Yeah.
inspired this. There is so much Barbarella in this. There's like sapphic allusions in Ming's harem, the rhythmic thumping and heavy breathing of the initiation. My God, that's pretty homoerotic. There's just a whole scene where Flash and Baron are fisting some gaping holes. My God.
The all my male rite of initiation.
Yeah.
There's Richard O'Brien of Rocky Horror fame saying to
Mm-hmm.
Prince Baron about Princess Aura, "I never knew what you saw in her."
Mm-hmm.
The waspiest gay line reading you've ever heard in your life.
Uh-huh.
We've already talked about Brian Blessed, the bear aesthetic, incredible. Hairy chested himbo in chains and a loincloth, impeccable. But special mention for me goes to Peter Wyngarde as General Clytus, who
Yes.
Peter Wyngarde, a real legendary British actor, a real world bisexual, and
Mhm.
playing a sumptuous bisexual in this film, because he is ready to go with anyone at any time, so long as they will call him daddy and do what he tells them. Like, he is just the line deliveries of General Clytus and the way he is just sort of smolderingly horny for everything. That's a bisexual man putting himself on the screen.
Oh yeah.
And we love to see it.
Absolutely. So fucking good. I looked up pictures of him outside of the general outfit, and
Yes.
uh apparently he's the inspiration for Austin Powers. That's not a joke. That is like something Mike Myers has said. Like, I was inspired by this man.
Yeah, he is the 70s. Peter
Yeah.
Wyngarde, like, fashion plate, 70s through and through. Absolutely. Also was the inspiration for the character of Mastermind in the Phoenix Saga in the X-Men comics.
Wow. Wow.
He got around.
He got
He
around
did get around.
like a good bisexual.
Like a good bisexual, Peter Wyngarde is there. Anything else for our 5 pillars, or should we rate this movie?
God, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that I haven't mentioned. Like, it's so hard to talk about the plot of this movie because it really is just like set piece to set piece to set piece. But essentially, like, Flash is taken against his will to this other dimension, and he basically has to save the girl by uniting all of the subjugated imperial races to fight against the Emperor. It is your classic Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah.
But none of it matters because it's just so fun.
Like, it's maybe even like a bit more morally ambiguous than Star Wars. Like, there's more of a chance of characters being good or evil, or
Yeah.
like, Baron, Vulcan, like, all of these characters are like, they're not motivated by I'm good, I'm bad. They're motivated very much by like, what's the best thing right now for what I can.
Exactly.
Hey, it's a complicated text.
I mean, we're complicated people. Okay, let's talk about our scores. Andrew, what would you give this film from a 0 to a 5?
Should I feel embarrassed for how I feel about this movie?
No, just
I
say
wouldn't
it.
want me to be.
No.
It's a 5. I love this movie. It's so good, and it's so, like, it's important to me, but also it's just when do you have more fun than when you're watching Flash Gordon?
Honestly, like, it's a film that flies by in the best way possible. It is just so easy to watch. I'm also going to give it a 5. Like, I can't deny how much fun I have watching this film, how surprising this film was on the first watch, and how surprising it still feels now that I've seen it. How about the women of this film, Andrew?
Can I give them a 5? No, I can
You
only
can
give them a 1.
You can only give them a 1, but I'm assuming that means that you're giving them 1 point. You're giving the film 1 point for
They
the
are
women
getting
of
the
this film.
bonus point for, any one of those 3 leading women would be worth it. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal. Now, our third pillar, the boys, how do you feel about them?
Second pillar.
Second pillar, right. The movie stand on its own. Second pillar, boys.
Yeah. It's a really clear a rating system, Shane. What do you not get?
I,
I mean, yeah, Flash is formative, and Timothy Dalton is reawakening my sexuality every time I look at him. So
yeah,
yeah,
I get it. I feel the same way. I mean, even though Flash isn't fully for me, I feel like the men in this movie are for me, and they speak to the men that I'm into to this very day. So I'm gonna give that the point as well. And then
I
the
remember when you were dating that guy in the gold skull mask. It was so weird, but he was
yeah,
cool. So
you got it. You got it, right? Like I wasn't crazy for well, I was crazy for doing that, but also it's
he had a
kind of hot.
vibe.
Yeah. No. Keep the mask on. Are you going to give this film a point for the music, for the score?
For a Queen soundtrack and the song Flash theme from Flash Gordon. Yes, Shane. Yes, it's getting the point.
It would be criminal not to. Dun, 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 dun. And then I feel like I know where this is going, but I have to ask the questions anyway, like I can't just skip to the end. Andrew, how do you feel
It's a
about
format.
how do you feel about the fashion in this film?
The greatest of all time. So it
Yeah,
gets the point. I
I get
mean,
it.
this this is a movie that makes me want to break out a sketchbook and start drawing the people in the movie. Like,
Wow.
it's sumptuous, gorgeous, perfect.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. What haven't we said about it? It's an amazingly fashionable film, and I feel like our culture is still inspired by the fashion in this film. And then
If only it were more
oh,
inspired, frankly.
honestly, less Madeline Swan Tradwife, more Princess Aura Dom BDE vibes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Rolls off the tongue. Queerness,
And at least a
Andrew.
ring of tea with your name written across your tits. Queerness, yes. Yes, please.
Yeah, how can you deny how queer this film is? You'd be a fool to deny it, honestly. I would
You
probably
would
have
be
to
a fool to
disintegrate
deny it.
you. Yeah.
But then the penalty.
I mean, there is a legitimate case for a penalty point.
There is.
There's a lot of Orientalism, the way that black people are just immediately written out of the film. The only character death is a black person. The way the little people in this film are kind of slaves and
Yeah, Deep
don't
Roy
speak
is
anything
like
other
a
than
pet on a
gibberish.
chain. Yeah. I think we can apply the penalty. I think it does. This movie would be getting a 10 out of 10 if we weren't applying the penalty, and that's extraordinary because this film does not have that reputation of
Yeah.
being a 10 out of 10 movie, but that's because the culture is homophobic and the culture is wrong. But there is a problem with this movie. The Orientalism is alone, I think, would be worthy of the penalty. And you're right, there's a lot of mistreatment of characters based on identity, especially in the early parts of the movie. Things that we would not do today because we would see the wrong in it.
Yeah, well, you would hope. I feel like it's definitely a product of its time. I mean, God, there was only one black man in Star Wars as well, lest we forget Lando Calrissian, just as
Yeah.
there was only one woman. So it's not like this was not a problem for the industry in general, but it is pretty glaring here in an otherwise perfect film. And from my modern perspective, it does fill me with a little hesitation about calling this a perfect movie. But so that said, I mean, we both gave it a 10 out of 10. And when we apply that penalty, which I feel rightfully we are doing, that makes it a 9 out of 10, which is still an incredible score. And I think speaks to how much this film overcomes everything, like any like technical or
Yeah.
financial limitations, how it makes up for the more questionable parts of this film. Everything in it is otherwise fucking fantastic.
Yeah. I think it deserves the reappraisal. And, people who are joining us on this podcast journey, this maybe sets a temperature for the kind of vibe that we may be looking for. And it's
Yeah,
not super hetero. And that's great.
I think that's great too. I can't wait for us to talk about a very drab Fast and Furious movie next.
I mean, those are queer too, though. So,
Honestly, aren't they?
queer comes
Well,
in so many flavors.
Andrew, this has been a treat as always. Thank you again for introducing me to this film. I'm so glad that you get to share something so formative for yourself with me.
I'm realizing now I would have been 5 when this came out.
I didn't want to say your age on the podcast.
But no, it was there for me throughout my childhood.
I get it. Honestly, I
And
was
also into
5
my
when I first saw
horny
Star
teenage
Wars.
years. Yeah, there you go.
I get it.
It
I
really
get it.
ruins you, these things.
Yeah, they really do.
You know, I'll take the ball worms if that's what it takes.
Oh, not the boar worms.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Oh,
Thank you, Shane. It's been a
thank you.
pleasure as always. And I can't wait for the next one.
On that note, kiss, kiss.
Bang, bang.
If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe to this channel. You can follow Kiss Kiss Bang Bang on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd at KKBBpod, or email us at kisskissbangbangpod@gmail.com.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is recorded in Toronto on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabeg, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples.